Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw, and I am joined by one person you definitely know and someone who new to the Kulturecast. I'm joined by award-winning screenwriter and co-host of the Scary Stories We Tell podcast, my close friend, Mrs. Jess Byard.
Hello.
It is not just Byard June, though. That is
It is
coming
not.
on.
No, we finished that. This is a drastically different month.
Boy, isn't it? And first-time guest to the Kulturecast, he is the writer/owner of Pulp Serenade.com. Mr. Cullen Gallagher.
Howdy.
And I can just tell that you are super excited to talk about this nightmare of a film. We are talking about the first film for Steven Seagal July, the only film directed by Mr. Seagal, On Deadly Ground.
In this land of frozen beauty, where a proud people make their home, Aegis Oil is making a killing.
The people here want to talk about the poisons in their environment.
If Aegis 1 is not online and operational in 13 days, then the oil rights will revert back to the Eskimos, and that is not going to happen.
Where's that gun?
But there is hope. And now, he's here. Steven Seagal is on deadly ground.
You're an oil man.
But I put out the fires. I stop spills. We are being lied to by some of the most sophisticated people on Earth.
I know we've had our disagreements.
How much money is enough?
I don't need that kind of problem right now.
Get rid of the problem.
You mean mercenaries?
Now this land has a friend.
In you, I've seen a great spirit.
These people have a warrior.
Did you beat up on this little native man?
And this corporation
Find me a buddy or find me the man.
has a big problem.
I mean, who the hell is this guy?
Sensei, his company.
Company?
CIA.
Whatever he is, he's a damn problem.
Steven Seagal.
Time to move out.
Michael Caine.
He'd need a miracle to stop us now.
Just gonna reach out and touch somebody here.
On deadly ground.
So, it is directed by Steven Seagal. It stars Steven Seagal, Michael Caine, Joan Chen of Twin Peaks fame, John C. McGinley, and of all people, Arlie Ermey. Bob Orton. Billy Bob Thornton is in this movie. So is Sven Ole Thornson. So there's a lot of people in this movie. Pretty much nobody gets anything to do, but we'll get to that when we get to it. It came out. The film was released in 1994, which is pretty much as Verne, who wrote the Seagology book, which is going to be something we reference a lot this month. This is in the silver age of Steven Seagal. The fact that that's even a term anyone wants to use is shocking in and of itself. But the film stars Mr. Seagal as a firefighting blowout specialist with a mysterious past who puts out fires for a sleazy oil company run by Michael Caine, who's supposed to be Texan, maybe? I don't know. I have no idea.
He's got a bolo tie. That means he's Texas.
Fringe jackets. No Nehru in this movie. Fringe jackets. Oh, Jesus Christ. We're going to have a lot to talk about. If you've never seen a Steven Seagal movie, Verne claims that this is the ultimate Steven Seagal movie, and we will kind of address that when we get to it. But, Cullen, since this is your first time on the Kulturecast, had you seen this before? And if you hadn't, what did you think watching it for the Kulturecast?
I had not seen a Steven Seagal movie since Under Siege came out. And,
So how old were you when Under Siege came out?
I would have been... I think I saw it not in theaters, on pay-per-view, so I would have been 8, probably.
Okay.
And I had seen some of the previous movies on VHS at the time, like Above the Law and Hard to Kill. But yeah, going back to Steven Seagal after 27 years apart, it was like meeting an old family member and realizing, like, this is the person I used to look up to. It was not... I'd gone back to Chuck Norris movies recently, and I had a great time, and this was just kind of absurd and depressing and fascinating, and I could not take my eyes away from the movie. It's a one-of-a-kind train wreck.
Yes, let's just... Ugh, boy, isn't it?
I have so many words to describe this movie, and yet I can't think of any of them. It's a hell of a lot of fun. I definitely agree with Verne's description of the movie as corny as all hell, but pure, unadulterated Seagal.
Yeah, it definitely is that for sure. I think I'm most curious, though, because I know Jess's Steven Seagal knowledge is not as verbose as either one of ours. Jess, thoughts on Steven Seagal and thoughts on Deadly Ground?
Yeah, so I have never seen a Steven Seagal movie until I watched this. And I also had no idea there's a book called, what'd you call it?
Seagology.
Sure, yeah, we'll call it that.
So here's the thing. It's like a very tongue-in-cheek book. It's really good. It's actually really funny.
Yeah, Verne is a hell of a writer and he has a one-of-a-kind voice, which I really appreciate. And I love the fact that his writing, he takes the movies seriously enough, but also realizes that it's a Steven Seagal movie, and he has his whole take on the auteur theory is like the ass-kicking auteur theory. He calls it something like that. So there is an element of humor, but I do like the fact that he is serious about the movies at the same time. It's a really delicate balance, and I applaud him for achieving that.
I can't say that I agree. At least with
Can't
this
imagine
movie.
why.
This is admittedly a genre that I am not hugely familiar with. But recently, in the last couple of years, I watched, because I was just like, fuck it, I haven't seen any of them, so I just started watching some Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I watched some Dolph Lundgren movies. Those, I would say, are pretty pure, unadulterated fun. But this movie, this is not a movie. There's no character development whatsoever in this movie. There's also no, lead actor that's playing a Native American who's actually Native American. Yeah, Joan Chen as Steven Seagal, sure. But
I don't think, to be fair, I'm not sure Steven Seagal is supposed to be Native American, though. Joan Chin, on the other hand, totally.
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
Totally. Totally is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see your confusion with the goddamn fringe jacket.
With his fringe jackets, yes.
Yeah.
Not, like, I would say that a good, 30% of this movie is montages, and not particularly, fun ones or exciting ones. A lot of this movie drags. An hour and 40-some minutes, I think, is absolutely unnecessary. Then there's Steven Seagal, who is a shitty actor. I don't know how else to say it, but he's not a fun shitty actor for me, like, Jean-Claude Van Damme is, or Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren, I wouldn't say that they're as bad as Steven Seagal. Maybe it's just because I enjoy the movies more, but I don't know. This movie's not well directed. This script is not a script. There's nothing in this script that is progressing the plot at all until they have random exposition dumps throughout it, and we get a vision quest. And not a fan.
I have seen this movie one other time, and it was a couple years ago when I decided to sit down and, like you have been talking about, Jess and Cullen, kind of revisiting these films of action stars. Some I had never seen before, and I decided to sit down and watch some of Steven Seagal's kind of earlier films, the ones that were theatrically released, because, again, that's now the kind of running joke about his career is he doesn't make theatrical films anymore. Everything that he's made, I want to say, since 2004, maybe? 2002? Since Half Past Dead, essentially, everything has been direct-to-video, which is hilarious in so many ways. But this is, like we mentioned the Seagalogy Verne book, this is the only film he directed. This is kind of his magnum opus, as one might look at it, if we're talking about just from a purely kind of importance to who he is as a human being, confronting something he clearly cares about, going after the kind of environmental message in a really ham-fisted way. It is a big, dumb movie, with emphasis on dumb being the key factor. And like we'll talk about throughout the month, because this is only the first movie of the month, Steven Seagal is a complete black hole of charisma. He has zero.
He thinks he has a lot.
He does.
There's nothing going on.
I was going to say, what I found really fascinating about comparing these movies to the early pre-canon Chuck Norris movies is that Seagal loves to talk. Those early Chuck Norris movies, he not only doesn't say anything, he barely moves. There's so many shots where he's just standing completely still and maybe he'll just move his eyes. And I love that about Chuck Norris. His static quality is really amazing. But I think what's smart about those early movies is he knows his limitations. he knows what he's good at doing, and he sticks to it, and he has a lot of fun with the plots. And Jess, as you pointed out, this movie is not fun at all, and Seagal never intended it to be. He is deadly serious about On Deadly Ground. Is that like a meta thing that is the deadly ground this movie?
Okay, well, there's a lot of meta things happening in this movie with, just random weird references to other movies. At one point, maybe I'm looking too much into this, but Arlie Ermey, I swear, is dressed like Quint from Jaws. And later on in the movie, I don't remember what her name is, but she literally says he's back, like Poltergeist. And there were a lot of just weird, I guess, hey, these are movies that Steven Seagal knows, so he's going to reference some of them.
I like that he's heard of these movies. I've seen the poster for them.
And Irvin Kershner, who directed Never Say Never Again, which Seagal was a stunt coordinator on, or a stunt actor on. He plays the director of Michael Caine's commercial.
Nah. Yeah, Michael Caine.
So, yeah, Michael Caine is in this movie.
Michael Caine is also in Jaws 4, so don't let's pretend that he made a lot of great career choices.
No, Michael Caine, for all of the adulation that he gets now, and I think that some of that has to do with him having what I would consider to be one of the most iconic British accents and kind of deliveries, obviously for everything that Christopher Nolan has done for Michael Caine's career, which is essentially wiping things like On Deadly Ground out. Michael Caine should never have been in this movie.
Michael Caine made a comeback after Cider House Rules. That's when he kind of came back. He's like, I'm going to be the serious British actor now, and I'm just going to stop being in these stupid movies.
Did you look at his memoir?
I did
what
not.
He had to say about this movie? He said with this, the quote is, "I had broken one of the cardinal rules of bad movies. If you're going to do a bad movie, at least do it in a great location. Here I was doing a movie where the work was freezing my brain and the weather was freezing my arse."
They filmed on location in Alaska, so...
Right.
The thing about having an actor
with a lot of stock footage of polar bears.
And a lot of stock footage of bald eagles as well. Mm-hmm. The thing about having an actor like Michael Caine in a film like this, where Michael Caine is not a action star, or even it kind of goes back to this idea of you have an action star up against a businessman villain, kind of like Die Hard with Bruce Willis and Hans Gruber. You have the slimy villain and the ass-kicking good guy, and once they finally collide, the slimy businessman has no way to fight back, which kind of takes the piss out of the entire movie. You have John C. McGinley, you have Sven Ole Thornson, and they're the muscle, and once they're taken out, it's how is Steven Seagal going to chase down Michael Caine, a stodgy British man, and how is he going to beat the shit out of him? Which is exactly what happens. Michael Caine puts up zero fight, which is, obviously was always going to be the case. But again, it goes back to this idea of, if you have Steven Seagal being able to fist fight someone, that's got some entertaining qualities to it, just in theory. But when it's Steven Seagal chasing after Michael Caine, who is not a physical threat to Steven Seagal in any form or fashion, how this film's going to end, and it does exactly what you think it's going to.
Right, which, if Michael Caine had been, kind of embodying, his roles from the 60s and 70s as kind of like the charismatic spy, that kind of guy, spy guy who's got a gun, if he was maybe that kind of villain, or he can, duck and dodge, and he's shooting a gun at Steven Seagal and whatever, but he doesn't. He literally just falls down and is like, okay, you got me. No big deal.
I like Michael Caine in this. He has nothing to work with, but he hams it up, and he's entertaining as hell. But I think that's one of the really interesting and, I guess, frustrating things about these Seagal movies, is the early ones, at least, up through including this one, his supporting casts are amazing. And I really feel like it's the studio who's picking them. But I know Seagal has a real problem with people taking screen time away from him on out for justice after the movie was finished. He forced the studio to go in and edit out all of like Jerry Orbach scenes and a lot of the other supporting cast. So there are these long dialogueless sequences of Seagal just wandering around. And I kind of get that feeling with On Deadly Ground, where the studio got this really great supporting cast, but there's absolutely nothing for them to do. Like, did Joan Chen have more dialogue? Because she barely says or does anything in the movie.
Not really, yeah. I mean, like, the only people who are really at all entertaining to watch are, like we said, Michael Caine is still Michael Caine, so he's still some degree of entertaining. And side note, Chris, I sent you the picture. But speaking of Batman, I paused the movie, and it was right in the middle of Michael Caine's commercial, so he was doing this scary ass smile, and he looks to me like Jack Nicholson's Joker in Batman and then his, spoiler alert, everyone, Michael Caine dies at the end by getting thrown into a thing of oil, which was also, to me, reminiscent of Batman and the Joker. I don't know. I just kept seeing all these, like, really heavy-handed references to other movies. Maybe it was just me wanting to watch other movies. I don't know, but...
I think it may be that.
I agree. I kept seeing, in all those early Seagal movies, they seem really, I don't know if pastiche or patchwork, like... They really just seem to be like, oh, let's take this from Die Hard. Let's take this from Chuck Norris. Let's take this from First Blood. And I didn't catch the ones you mentioned, but I think you're right on about all of them.
Well, I mean Under Siege is literally just Die Hard. And Under Siege 2 is literally just Die Hard. I mean, that's the problem with Steven Seagal, I think in general, is the time of the action star was, in my approximation, and I'm curious y'all's approximation, it's the 80s. And Seagal comes in, I mean, yeah, like you've already mentioned, Cullen, 1983, Never Say Never Again, is when he fucking when Seagal broke Sean Connery's wrist during the production of the movie. You have him coming in 88 as his first foray into being the leading man in Above the Law. And that, in my approximation, is this kind of waning period of the quote-unquote action star. I mean, I know we have some kind of exceptions that prove the rule, like Terminator 2, but...
Right, but Terminator 2 is a part of a franchise and was going to be coming out regardless, so that doesn't... I think you're right, yeah. I would say that the 80s for sure, and then maybe like early 90s to about 93, 94... But the 90s brought in, like, a new wave of indie, kind of smaller, more, quiet movies. And, we were hugely in, that's, when Oscars and stuff really, really became what people had their eye on as far as, like, the public goes and what kind of movies they would want to go see. So, yeah, we got away from these kind of just fun, dumb action movies, essentially, because they weren't... I guess, they didn't hit that emotional nerve or that, dramatic nerve that people were looking for in the early 90s.
I also wonder if just the profits went down because, like, this didn't recoup its costs at all in theaters.
No, God, no. No, it was like $50 million to make and made like $30 million back or something like that.
And as the budgets would keep getting bigger, they thought you needed bigger explosions.
Which this movie has a lot of explosions.
Especially that one at the beginning where Steven Seagal is in full frame standing in front of an explosion.
Yep. And speaking of that full frame, let's talk a little bit about how ugly this fucking movie is, because speaking of, other action stars, and at least with a lot of JCVD and Dolph Lundgren movies, as goofy as they are, there are usually some one or two really interesting, cool shots that come out of those movies, and interesting locations, and they overall look better. And now I will say that obviously 94 is when we're starting to flip over to digital and video, and so things are looking not quite as polished as they look now, but they don't have that kind of film quality that they had before. So this movie is... Like I said, it's not fun. It's not even fun to look at. There's no fun. The most interesting things to look at in this movie are the wide shots of the rig.
Especially compare this to Cliffhanger, which came out the year before. which is, in my opinion, fun as hell, and the photography is amazing. Am I the only one that thinks that?
I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it either, and I'm glad you mentioned Stallone because, sitting here, this being the first movie that we're talking about with Seagal this month, I think for me, this kind of because we've mentioned JCVD and Dolph Lundgren, we've kind of hinted at Schwarzenegger, obviously, with Terminator 2. I would say, for me, if we're talking this kind of like hierarchy of action stars, Steven Seagal is in the bottom. He might not be the lowest of the low. I think that could go to maybe someone like Mark Dacascos or Armand Asante, but Seagal is in this lower tier. I mean, the top tier, obviously Schwarzenegger. You could maybe put Stallone up there. I don't know. I would
say yeah, because Rambo.
Yeah, but I just think for me, unequivocally, Schwarzenegger is the king of the action movie, and hasn't been anyone else like him, and there never will be.
Stallone's the best actor, though, because when he steps out of the action film into doing something like Rhinestone with Dolly Parton, he's funny as hell.
Right.
He has a lot of charisma, and he also, I think, is smart enough to know what he can do.
Right. Well, and like Chris, you said, Steven Seagal is a black void of charisma. There's nothing there. His delivery, which I don't understand, is it dubbed? I don't understand.
There's a
dubbed.
lot of ADR in this movie. It's not the thing. I don't think his lines are dubbed. He just, again, if this is your first Seagal movie, which it clearly is, unfortunate for you, his delivery is always very understated, and it always seems to me, and Cullen, I don't know how you feel about this, having also seen a fair amount of Seagal films, he doesn't have the self-awareness to know that just because you're talking softly and quietly, that doesn't make you menacing. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't make you intimidating. And he just has no self-awareness as an actor to know how to be intimidating.
Well, he's not acting. I was talking.
He's just
telling
himself.
My husband, he's just talking. Yeah, he is just talking. There's no difference in tone. There's no ever sense of urgency. There's his voice aside, or the way he talks aside, his face is doing nothing. It's just a blank slate the whole time.
When I listen to him, I sort of feel like the actors that he's trying to rip off the most are actually De Niro and Clint Eastwood.
Yes, but you can have charisma, but silently.
Yeah, he's doing a terrible job, but I just can't help but think he watched a bunch of De Niro being tough and menacing, and then he watched a lot of Clint Eastwood movies and sees, how understated Clint is. And clearly with him trying to direct this, I think he is trying to be a little Eastwood. And there is rumor that Eastwood was interested in this property at one point. I don't know if it was serious or whether he just wanted to read the script.
See what this idiot's doing.
Again, like you've already mentioned, the lack of self-awareness when it comes to line delivery. I wouldn't even consider De Niro an action star. Why is that the well that you're drawing from? Because I've never thought about it like that until you just mentioned it, Cullen, that it's De Niro-esque. But again, De Niro is I would say for the most part,
he's a dramatic actor.
A talented dramatic actor, bad grandpa notwithstanding.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a latter career.
So those early Seagal movies strike me as him trying to do, they're almost sort of like Mike Hammer, sort of hard-boiled, urban crime stories.
Right.
And with this, he goes completely in the other direction. And Under Siege was also another direction, but those first 4 movies seems that he's trying to do hard-boiled cop stories.
Well, and those first 4 movies are his best 4 movies. Above the Law, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, and Out for Justice. Like you mentioned, Cullen, they're all almost the same goddamn movie.
Yeah.
Fighting inner city toughs, be it Jamaican toughs, mobsters, what have you. It's all very samey, but it kind of works.
So are a lot of action movies. There's a lot of sameness between, there's a lot of sameness in JCVD movies. There's a lot of sameness in Dolph Lundgren movies. They all have their thing that they do, well, obviously, but I don't see it, and, you know, I'll be watching more later, but I don't see it here, and he's just...
Well, the funny thing is once he gets outside of that urban setting, once he goes into these more kind of set piece, because this is a set piece driven film, a set piece driven action film, when he goes into these set piece driven action films, his inability to act and inability to be charismatic kind of withers away, because when you have these set piece driven action films like, say, Commando or Total Recall.
What a great movie.
Right,
great
yeah.
movie.
Movies that we'd obviously rather be talking about than this one. When you have those movies, the hero has kind of a catchy one-liner or something that he says. You know, he has one-liners throughout the scenes. And in this film, it needs that. And it doesn't. It doesn't have it at all. And that's better suited for something where it is, you know, an ex-cop or a wronged someone who is going after thugs or gang members in a city. You don't need the one-liners. You just need like brutal action, which in something like Marked for Death or Out for Justice, those are pretty brutal movies. I mean, he's beating people up with a cue ball and a sock. I mean, he murders people with wanton abandon in this film, but those movies, there's a different flavor to them that this film just doesn't have.
And then when he makes the Glimmer Man, he shows up on set and says, "Sorry, I decided I can't kill people anymore. It's bad for my karma."
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
God.
Well, I mean, Steven Seagal is a big friend of the Dalai Lama, or at least he was.
Yeah.
So.
Well, now he's a big friend of Russia.
Yes, he is. Yeah, for both of y'all, because it's something that Vern touches on at the beginning of Seagology, and that I think is a really interesting point, which is that with Above the Law, Seagal, that's his first movie as an actor, and he comes out as a fully manufactured star with a persona, and like the first images in that movie are like of him as a child, and then they work into that like video of him actually like doing Aikido, and there seems to be this whole, like, we're working in his persona into the story because we're going to sell you that Steven Seagal is fucking great and he's badass and he's a star. And yet, to me, it's, like, never convincing because he's not that person. Like, he's not that, as we've all said, he's not charismatic. He's not as tough as these other guys. He's not as good an actor. And as I'm watching all these early movies, it just keeps being a letdown. Like Seagal, you're not as cool as you think you are, or that the movie is trying to convince us of.
Well, I mean, there's a point in time in that there's a point where it's R. Lee Ermey explaining to, I don't remember who, John C. McGinley maybe, why you don't want to run into, and we haven't mentioned his name actually yet, but it's Forrest Taft, which in my notes it says Forrest Taft is a douche.
Accurate. Accurate.
It's just R. Lee Ermey basically giving all of these analogies as to why Forrest Taft is this big bad killing machine, and you better be scared if you run into him because of this and this and this and this, and it goes on for like 2 minutes.
Oh, that speech is glorious, and I'm convinced that he wrote that himself.
I mean,
it's
he could
so
have.
Good. I mean, are y'all gonna do a sound clip of that? Otherwise, I got the whole thing in front of me.
I mean, see, here's the thing. Until you said you had it in front of you, now you have to do Cullen Gallagher's dramatic reading of why Forrest Taft is a badass.
My guy in D.C. tells me that we are not dealing with a student here. We're dealing with the professor. Anytime the military has an operation that can't fail, they call this guy in to train the troops, okay? He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush, and tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and fistful of pesos. What the fuck?
I mean, if that doesn't convince you that he's a badass, what will?
Right.
Bikini underwear, no toothbrush, and a fistful of pesos.
Why does he have pesos? Where does he get the pesos from?
I do want to touch on something that I was not expecting, which was the amount of blood in this movie and some pretty gnarly kill scenes, mostly referring to Hugh, poor Hugh, this old man who runs this rig, just gets the shit killed out of him pretty much. And I wasn't expecting that, actually. I didn't expect, blood sliding down the glass windows in this movie. Those were at least...
his fingers are cut off with a whalebone, and then he's murdered with a pipe cutter, apparently.
By the leg? Yeah, I couldn't really tell. Were they, cutting his leg off with it?
I think so.
I guess.
Yeah.
Because then his dead body shows up when they try to frame Taft for the murder.
Lesson, never keep a pipe cutter in your house.
Just in your closet. It's, again, like we were talking about with the first 4 original Seagal films, and we are going to talk about, Jesus Christ, Marked for Death later in the month. There is that level of brutality in those films. And this movie kind of treads that line because there is that brutality, and then there's not. I mean, you have the shot where you've got the guys riding on horses, and they fall into one of Taft's, improvised traps, and a guy gets blown up, and then another guy just falls on some branches and dies.
Yeah, he falls into the spike pit that evidently Steven Seagal and Joan Chen had plenty of time to dig, and carve spears to stick in this hole. Yeah. All by themselves.
It's the main issue that I have with this movie, other than the fact that Steven Seagal really is a charisma void, is the lack of...
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Action in this movie.
It's just explosions.
Yeah, there's no action in this movie. I was
trying to figure out what is his special skill. Obviously we know, Chuck Norris does roundhouse kicks. Jean-Claude Van Damme is, the muscles from Brussels.
And dancing.
And handsome.
No, I said and dancing.
Oh, I thought you said handsome.
He is.
He is handsome, but also he's a good dancer. And he can do the splits like no man can. So.
I would rather watch him do the splits than watch anything Steven Seagal did in this movie.
I don't think the Seagal movies actually do a really good job of filming action in general. I know Charlize Theron was in the news recently saying that she didn't think he knew how to fight at all, and it's just pushing and shoving. In watching these movies, I couldn't get that out of my mind because, like the bar fight in this movie, it's weird moments of slow-mo where you don't need them, and then he's cutting when the action's supposed to be happening. So he's not really framing the choreography in any, good way.
That goes back to what Steven Seagal is trained in. He's trained in Aikido, which is not your traditional martial art. It's martial arts with religious beliefs, and there's
a lot of meditations involved.
Yeah,
and
it's not
an action-packed martial art. It's not,
It's utilizing throws. I mean, Aikido is known for its grabs and throws.
He throws a lot of people through windows in those early movies.
Well, and here's the thing, that can be cool. Like, if you're giving him different things to throw people through, different places for them to land, different, places for the camera to be. But if you're just doing pretty much just medium shots and wide shots and close-ups, that's boring. It's static and it's boring. There's nothing happening.
There's like a slow motion close-up of him grabbing someone's nuts as the guy yells, "My balls!"
80-yard my balls, too.
So since you brought that up, I do want to mention that this movie has quite the emphasis on dick damage.
Yes, you're totally right.
Is that Dick Warlock's brother, Dick?
Dick damage. What's your dick damage, Dick? And also, I mean, we can kind of focus a little bit on the ridiculous bar fight that happens at the beginning of this movie.
Amazing.
Where he proves he's big manly man, because it's just incited by one long-running gay joke. It's like they are calling him Cupcake, it's this and that, and I'm just like, oh, awesome. Who wrote this movie, by the way? Did Steven Seagal write it?
No. But that scene will let you know that Steven Seagal is no gay man. He is no gay at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I will show you how not gay I am by playing slap fight with you.
By playing slap fight and also grabbing this guy's nuts.
Yeah, this movie's not written by Steven Seagal, thank God.
Robin Russin and Ed Horowitz.
Oh, it's two people. Two people couldn't write this movie?
Would make the statement they did write a movie. I just don't know the success. Here's the other kind of question about the movie. Let's play theoretical. Could anyone in this movie have saved it? If we take Seagal out, would this movie have been good, say, with Schwarzenegger?
Oh, dude, are you talking like Garfield without Garfield? Just like do a Steven Seagal movie, but take him out of every shot?
No. But that would be amazing.
I would love to watch that,
People
actually.
Just start throwing themselves. Guys' balls get grabbed on their own.
Yep.
I'm
that
saying,
would be hilarious.
What if it was JCVD in this movie as opposed to Seagal? Would this movie have worked as a non-Seagal movie with someone else?
I think that
Clint Eastwood could have been in it, apparently.
I think that it could, honestly. I mean, it's not a great movie as far as, the lines aren't awesome. There's not a lot of depth to any of these characters. But if you had an actor in there who's at least fun to watch and who insists on being in almost every shot, then yeah, I could probably come away with this being like, it was fun. I probably don't need to watch it again, but it was fun.
I think if someone else came on board, they would have had to bring another writer who did a lot of rewrites and more research. Supposedly, like the Native American, like the dreams that he's having, like Seagal's intern did some research, and then Seagal just threw in a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
I am a huge fan of the white savior. Steven Seagal, white savior for the first people of Alaska. I mean,
100%.
The Inuktituts. I mean, they need Steven Seagal. They need him.
So my answer would be no. I don't think that another actor could save this. I think Seagal is sincere and bad enough that it's entertaining to watch. If someone were better, it would be a much sadder experience to watch.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we haven't really touched too much on what this overarching message is about in this movie, but it's just, it's Steven Seagal cares very much about the environment, I guess, which, I don't disagree. I can't disagree.
Place, right?
Yeah, I can't disagree with the message behind this movie. I can't. But wow, he really just made us all watch this movie to watch like a 5-minute PSA.
But here's the funny thing, Jess. Here's the funny thing. Do you know how long that footage at the end was meant to be?
Probably like 20 minutes.
40 minutes long.
Fucking no. That would have been almost a 3-hour-long movie. I don't fucking think so.
Director's cut. I hope we never see that.
Apparently, according to IMDb, the 40 minutes were cut down to 7 because during the only preview screening, or one of the preview screenings for the film, the audience members booed, laughed, and made obscene gestures during the last 40 minutes of the film.
Wow.
I mean, what? You've got an hour and 40-minute movie, and then you tack on another 40 minutes of Steven Seagal chastising the audience and playing teacher.
Yeah. And saying, I mean, like, look, yes, I am definitely for the environment and against all this fucking, rigs in the ocean and spilling oil everywhere and all that bullshit. But, okay, Steven Seagal, if you care so much about the environment, then don't make a vanity movie.
Agreed.
Donate some money to the fucking environment, or make a real documentary, or hire, use your money to hire a production crew and be an executive producer on a movie with an actual environmental message. Not just you being like, look how awesome I am, and I care about the environment also.
But hey, I mean, look, in the movie with an environmental message, the way the film, wraps up is he blows up an oil rig, which undoubtedly would throw oil everywhere. But hey, explosions!
The fact that you're probably that you're definitely with those explosions, you're most certainly killing things in like a certain amount of radius around that explosion.
Goodbye some of those cute animals that the movie was focusing on.
Right, yeah, that polar bear that was there for some reason. Look at it. And yeah, Vision Quest. This movie is ridiculously tone deaf when it comes to its views. Its handling of First Peoples, as with most movies from this era and before are.
And he thinks he's being so progressive. The movie is so pleased with itself.
Yeah, he's standing up for the First Peoples, for the Eskimos.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
As John C. Reilly would like to say. John C. Reilly. John C. McGinley. Now, I will say that John C. McGinley is hilarious in pretty much everything he does.
I have a hard time taking him seriously in this movie.
Well, yeah, I have a hard time taking anybody seriously in this movie. I thought for a minute that it was supposed to be a comedy at some point.
T-E-A-M.
I wrote that, and I have a note in it says team in all caps and underlined, and then it says proceeds to torture old man to death.
Oh, but he also has that great line, your computer's been downloaded. That's the problem.
Your computer's been downloaded. This is somebody doesn't understand how the computer works.
Nope. I also love how Seagal types when he's like getting into the computer. It's like, no one types like that. Have you never typed on a computer before?
Maybe. Probably
in 1994? Not. Probably not.
But I think we would be remiss to not mention, in more depth, the kind of bizarre bar scene. So Vern calls it kind of like the epitome of Seagal. And I would actually 100% agree, because like you've already mentioned, Cullen, when it came to Glimmerman, or Glimmerman, as we like to call it.
Mr. Glimmerman.
Mr. Glimmerman. For me, the scene in the bar is absolutely 100% the epitome of Seagal. Not only does he get into a fist fight where he whoops up on a bunch of people and makes it look super easy, he teaches the baddie a lesson and doesn't kill him. It's gonna take time. Time to change.
This is probably, as we said, there aren't a lot of, action-packed sequences. But yeah, this is the one where you get to see him, beat the crap out of the most people at once, probably. I mean, granted, they're just a bunch of drunk idiots at the local bar, but...
Yeah, super racist.
And super racist, yes. Very racist against the, First Peoples who live there. And of course,
but the white guy
super progressive, having the Native American man be a drunk. That's real progressive of you, Steven Seagal.
But then he's like, now we're going to go off on some journey. It's like, oh my lord, it's just such stereotyped writing. It's just, it's awful.
And two people messed it up.
Well, and again, like we've said, I mean, it's just, it hits on all of the things that I associate and or assume I'm going to get when it comes to a movie with Steven Seagal in it. It's tone deaf on a lot of stuff. There's no one-liners that are funny. There's no action in this movie. We've talked about a little bit of it, but that's pretty much the extent of it.
I mean, there's no action cinematography either. We're not getting any of that movement that generally come, like, that's all part of, like, the psychological aspects behind, actual filmmaking. Certain genres have things that they have to follow because that's what, gains people's interest. That's what draws the eye in. So yeah, you have an action movie. We're expecting an action-packed movie where the camera's moving a lot. It's moving well. We're getting a lot of interesting shots. If you're doing kind of, like Cullen, you said, maybe he's trying to kind of like do this more De Niro style where we have this like Heat, I guess. I'm like, that's technically an action movie because it's a heist movie, but it's a different kind. Like it's a high, I guess it's high action, elevated action. I don't know. Is that a thing?
Well, no. Well, it can be, not in this fucking movie. I mean, the other issue is, like you guys have mentioned, you've got Arlie Ermey. You've got Billy Bob Thornton. You have Sven-Ole Thornson. And Steven Seagal, going down the list, kills Arlie Ermey with his own shotgun the moment he walks up to him. Kills Sven-Ole Thornton the moment he walks up to him. Blows Billy Bob Thornton's character up, and you're not even given any reason to care. And Michael Caine's character is dropped into a vat of oil. All the villains, there's not even a prolonged fight scene.
And John C. McGinley is thrown into a helicopter plane.
He gets raided of the Lost Ark.
And speaking of another reference to another movie, the whole thing that gets John C. McGinley in trouble and the whole thing like starts, the wars, of course, they're looking for Steven Seagal's character, Forrest Taft, and John C. McGinley gets upset at the chief who tries to get in front of him and then he shoots him, which is the exact same thing he does in Platoon. It's weird. I don't know. It's like, stop trying to take from these like really well done art pieces of movies and try and like cram your ham-fisted message into it. Because again, I think that this message in particular, environmentalism, and that was a bigger thing in the 90s. Like it had its small surge of notoriety, small surge of popularity at the time. And I think that it's something that I would really like to see more of in movies and discussed in movies. But if you want to make a PSA, make a documentary.
I would much rather watch this than a documentary. I mean, Inconvenient Truth can go fuck itself. I want to watch Steven Seagal kill Michael Caine by dropping him into oil. Heavy-handed metaphor. Like, get the fuck out of here. He's drowning him in his own oil. Like, oh, it's
the Texas oil baron from England.
Yeah, I wonder if Steven Seagal... Actually, I know for a fact, I think we would all agree at this point, Steven Seagal has no self-awareness. Be it regarding anything. He has no self-awareness, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing wrong with that if you're
not super self-serious.
Yeah, exactly.
But he is, and that's why he blows Arlie Ermey away fast, and that's why he gets rid of, Billy Bob Thornton and John C. McGinley so fast, because, like you said, Steven Seagal was known to not want to share screen time with people who would be able to, ostensibly outact him, and all of these people in this movie could act circles around him. So, yeah.
There was actually supposed to be a sidekick to him. There's I'm trying to pull up so I can cite this correctly. It's there's a piece by Owen Williams online called Man on a Mission. It was originally in Empire magazine, and now he has it on his blog. But there was supposed to be a second character who was here we go, yeah. A partner who was an Alaskan lawyer from Yale who became an eco-terrorist, and Seagal had them cancel the character. Because he doesn't like to share screen time. He works alone.
See, and that's the thing. That's what really, movies are hard to make. They're expensive to make. Even ones that are quote-unquote not expensive and low budget are expensive to make. And it's a lot of time. And it's a lot of people. And he's horrible to work with.
Yep.
And you're forcing people to work on these and make shit. Like, you're just, that's, you're not even coming out of it, people who came out of like movies, you know, made by Stanley Kubrick or Alfred Hitchcock or whatever could at least say, well, at least I was in The Shining or, you know, whatever. But On Deadly Ground, cool.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to bat for this movie. I would hope not.
There's no seagull heads, Seagullians.
Seagullians? I look, again, when it comes to Steven Seagal, everything past his first 4 movies is very much like this. He is self-serious. He doesn't understand what it means to be comedic. I mean, that's the...
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
One thing about, you know, the best of the action stars is they know how to let their guard down and play into the inherent comedy of these big action movies. I mean, that's what makes Commando so good. Yeah, I mean, that's what makes Commando so good. Is it, you know, it has comedy, but it is a action movie with comedy in it. It's not a comedy movie with action. And Steven Seagal doesn't get that. And I think it's because Steven Seagal is not, I could guarantee you, being around Steven Seagal, according to friend of the podcast, Richard Haddam, who you'll be hearing from later in the month, who wrote Under Siege 2 with Matt Reeve, Steven Seagal is not a funny person. He is a complete drag and an asshole to be around. And I believe it 100%, because if he's portraying the character on screen as more or less a facsimile for himself, then he is not the kind of person that is a joy to be around.
And like I said, if you're going to be that kind of self-serious actor, make good stuff then. Like, I just don't, like, he just seems, again, like you said, and according to Richard, he just seems like a drag. And he seems like a drag on screen, and he seems like nobody had fun probably making that movie at all, and nobody probably looks fondly back on it, really, other than him.
Cue the clip from Exit Wound where he tells a Rageaholics group that he brings joy into people's lives.
Well, as one would say, if he brings joy into people's lives, our definitions of joy do not line up.
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
I spent all day watching Seagal movies, including one where he fights vampires.
Oh, yeah. That's a more recent one, right?
Anymore. Oh, straight to video, then maybe not.
It is terrible. I expected to see some ball kicking, ball grabbing, testicle attacking Seagal, but he doesn't. He just has a sword, and most of the action is in the dark, and so you don't really see anything.
Is it because he's actually not really good at Aikido? Is that what it is?
I think what it probably is at this point in his career, he is literally sitting back and watching his stunt double do everything for him.
Yeah. How old is he now?
Oh, he's his late 50s, early 60s at least.
I'll check. He was born in 1952. One thing I couldn't find online was I'm actually really curious. I would love to read like someone that knows Aikido, like to write some criticism of his movies, because I feel like I can't. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know.
I can't judge. I have no idea. And so that means he's almost 70.
Jesus Christ.
Because my grandmother was born in 1947. So.
I to your point, though, Cullen, like, I would be curious to see someone who knows Aikido critiquing him.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if you can find anything like that online. I'm sure somebody out there. But I mean, you know what?
That would assume people who are giving Steven Seagal any sort of thought.
You never know. It's
other
the
than
internet.
This is weirdo Putin guy friend who's friend of Putin making movies still.
I mean, you know who else is a drag and like a diva and not fun to be around? Bruce Willis, but he's also charismatic in the movies. So at least it's entertaining to watch. Still don't be a douche.
Words to live by.
Words to live by. So, Cullen, what would you give On Deadly Ground out of 5?
I mean, I'm tempted just to say 0.5. Like, it's...
Man.
I mean, it's... You can laugh at it, but, like, there are better movies to laugh at.
And a lot of the movies you laugh at, they're also wanting you to laugh with them, and this movie doesn't have any of that.
This is a fascinating, like, timepiece, but in terms of actual, like, entertainment, like, I don't think it's very good. Sorry, Steven.
Don't apologize to him. He's a millionaire and has done nothing to deserve this, as far as I'm concerned.
Putin, so fuck him.
Well, the old story is Michael Ovitz, his Aikido trainer, took it upon himself to try and see if he could fabricate a movie star. And, well, I mean...
He did.
He did.
Well,
I mean, Steven Seagal...
He uncanny valleyed a movie star.
I mean, look, for all of the problems and all of the lack of charisma, Steven Seagal is still a billable action star. Success is not an indicator of being a movie star or not. He is a known quantity, and that's unfortunate in so many ways.
Oh, imagine if this had never happened. If he had walked in, of all the gin joints to walk into, he had to walk into Seagal's Aikido class.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, I would probably also give it... I'd probably just give it a... Yeah, I guess 0.5 works. What did I give Kuso? Because I hate Kuso.
I think we gave it a 0.
Okay, that's fine. I don't hate this movie, it's just not good.
Yeah, I would give it like a 2. I mean, it's, this is the second time I've seen it now. It's just as dumb as the first time I watched it, probably more so now, having spent time reading the chapter in the Verne book about this movie. He tears it apart better than I ever could. But like you said, Cullen, he really does understand that this is not just, to make fun of these movies. I mean, because Steven Seagal, he's easy to make fun of with his ponytail, his self-serious attitude, his lack of foresight when it comes to positioning himself as a movie star. You do not tell people, I am the only one that matters, and that's it.
No. That's a good way to get yourself not wanting to be worked with.
Right.
Speaking of the ponytail, one of my favorite Verne observations about Above the Law is it's really your prototypical Steven Seagal movie, except he doesn't have a ponytail. So in that light, this is not your typical Steven Seagal movie.
Right, exactly.
But I love that detail. He's totally right. But and he says that he's both serious and funny. I don't know. It's a great observation.
And, the one time Seagal is in something that's not self-serious, which is the kind of last film that he was in that was released theatrically, Machete, he's doing himself again in that movie. Like, he's doing the exact same bullshit.
I guess I have seen a movie with Steven Seagal in it then, because I have seen Machete.
But he's like a minor part of that movie, and he's doing this thing in that movie.
Right.
So...
Well, I mean, and I haven't also seen any of those... What were those ones that came out a few years ago with, all of the big action stars in them?
Oh, the Expendables?
But Seagal's not in those movies.
No, I bet he's not, because he's not sharing screen time with all those people.
Which is hilarious, because it has, the biggest of prima donnas in those movies.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger and Stallone working together, plus Bruce Willis is in those movies,
And Chuck Norris.
Yeah,
Chuck Norris. They're all...
I want to say they reached out to Seagal, and I think Seagal told him to stick it.
That probably sounds about right.
Again, he's...
Did JCVD show up in any of those? Dolph did, right?
I think Jean-Claude Van Damme showed up in one of them.
Yeah.
How many of them are? 3 of them now?
I've only seen 2 of them. Maybe I did see the 3rd. I can't remember now.
Aren't they all just kind of the same movie?
Yes.
I remember liking the first one a lot more, because I think Stallone directed it, and I think Simon West might have done the second one. And I know there are some people who, really love Simon West, but the few things I've seen I've had issues with, like his remake of The Mechanic. I'm getting off topic, but anyway.
But yeah, I believe they approached Seagal, because I remember reading something about it, and I think Seagal told him to stick it. And let's not kid ourselves, even if I was making this story up, it sounds just like something he would do.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I mean, the Expendables movies, for regardless of their quality, they're better off without him.
Yeah. Unless he's the villain.
That I could see. Like that, I could be okay with, maybe.
No. Because I just watched a movie this morning where he's the villain, and he's terrible.
To be a really good villain.
Which movie is he the villain in?
The Beyond the Law. That's what it was called, from 2019.
Gotcha, okay. His most recent foray into film.
Yes.
I think the only thing that Simon West has done that I like is Con Air.
Oh, shit. I should see that again. I saw that in theaters, and I have not gone back.
I mean, Con Air is a big, dumb movie.
And it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun because, again, you have villains in the film who that's the best part about action movies, right? Is when you have a villain in the movie who knows they're a villain in the action movie, so they are self-aware enough to, like, say really, like, sleazy things. I mean, that's what makes, again, going back to Commando, that's what makes Bennett so great in that movie.
Oh,
or
yeah.
David Patrick Kelly. They get that they're villains. They're not fourth wall breaking, but they know that they're villains in a movie.
And they're having fun, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, that's what
talk about
Deadly Ground needed.
Talk about complete opposite of charisma void. I mean, say what you will about Nicolas Cage, but he's nothing but personality, so...
Nicolas Cage is great.
Yes, I would.
For as bad as he can be, he's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The jazz musician of American acting, according to David Lynch.
Yeah.
Boy.
That sounds about right. I could say that.
I'm not disagreeing.
No, I'm not going to disagree either. But on that note, let's take a break and we'll play a preview for next week's Kulturecast.
Beneath the gently rolling hills of Appalachia, a deadly secret burns.
I got 50,000 barrels of cyanide rolling down there right now.
Protected by the silence of a town living in fear.
Young'uns are dying. People down here don't take to strangers. They do a hard day's work, go to church on Sunday, that's it. We have a special visitor to our community.
Now, an outsider has come into their world.
You really are new here.
Gotta stand out a little bit, do I?
To reveal the danger.
What's this smoke over here in the mountains?
Oh, they've been burning that mountain for 12 and a half years.
Protect the innocent.
You look prettier than a speckled pup.
That's just what I was gonna say.
And expose the conspiracy.
I made $16 million on this deal. You think I'm giving it back?
One of these days you'll say, the money ain't worth what's gonna do to my people.
You need to be careful about slinking around here. Somebody gonna get hurt.
It's gonna get a little hot around here.
Who are you?
I'm a federal agent.
It has to look like an accident. A big accident.
Your flame with the country girl is over.
I was gonna go take care of Hannah.
Guppy.
Come back here and get you.
Do you have any help? Because without it, you could be searching for years.
We don't have years.
I want the mine sealed, and I want Taggart buried inside it.
Tell your boss I'm coming to get him.
Steven Seagal turns up the heat.
You know, on second thought, I'll tell him.
Fire down below.
On the next Kulturecast, we are going to be talking another Seagal film. We're going to be talking about Fire Down Below, the other Seagal movie where there's an environmental message. There's also a lot of country western singers in the movie, which is super fucking weird.
Glad I'm not on that one.
I think it's got like Travis Tritt and
Chris Christopherson.
Chris Christopherson as well.
I will be watching this movie because I adore Chris Christopherson, and I just have to see this. So I'll be watching one more Seagal movie in my life.
Have you never seen it before?
No, I was serious. Like, after Under Siege, I had not seen another Seagal movie until you invited me to come on this.
That's fair. Oh, and it's not only does it have Chris Christopherson and Travis Tritt, it also has Randy Travis in it.
Oh, wow.
Which is super weird. And Marty Stewart. So,
oh, fuck. I'm going to have such a good time in this movie.
It's a lot more fun than this movie, but it's still terrible. It also has George Mark Colley in it, otherwise known as that one guy from The Punisher, who's the only part of that movie a lot of people really remember, which is the, what the fuck does he say in that movie? I'm going to play that song at your funeral. Again, another great movie with a villain who understands that he's in a fucking movie. But
lots of action.
Yeah, and action. And Tom Jane, the only Punisher worth talking about.
I love Thomas Jane.
I would disagree, but that's fine.
Wait, you're not going to say Dolph Lundgren, are you?
Yes, for sure. No, I like the show.
Oh. The show just took itself way too seriously.
Yeah,
I mean, I like John Travolta being, like, hamming it up, and I love Tom Jane, so... But I get it. I mean, the show does, like, a thing. It does, like, a thing that the movie doesn't do, which is, like, approach it with some seriousness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the movie's just kind of like, here's
pretty
Roy
gnarly
Scheider,
crime.
and he's dead. And here's the skull with the skull made out of fire. Like, who gives a shit? So, it's operating at peak comic book for sure. So, until that next episode, where can people find you, Cullen?
I recently relaunched my blog, Pulp Serenade, which now has a hyphen, pulp-serenade.com, and I write about mainly crime novels, occasionally random cult movies and other things. And I have a mostly country radio show called the Alcohol and Tears Mostly Country Radio Show, which is just alcoholandtears.com.
What about you, Jess? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at WriterJessByard. Pretty much post everything there, but if you want to hear Chris and I together talking about things other than movies, you can hear us talk about television shows that lasted one season over on our podcast, The One Season Show. And you can listen to us talk about all things spooky, paranormal, unexplained, true crime, all that good stuff over at Scary Stories We Tell. And that is pretty much it.
And for me, you can find me on Twitter, casualty_Chris. That's where I plug everything that I work on. Like Jess already mentioned, we do 2 podcasts together. Jess is on this podcast pretty frequently as well. If you want to find more episodes of this show, Kulturecast.com, Patreon.com/Kulturecast is where you can kick a couple dollars our way. Big thanks as always to our Patreon supporters. Big thanks to Cullen and Jess for enjoying/suffering through this movie, however you want to look at it. Cullen, for your first time on the Kulturecast, this is a hell of a movie to start out with.
I had fun. Thank you. I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's what we're going for here. Just have some fun, even if the movies are a complete and utter nightmare. Make sure to check out the next episode.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.